I have to get in the mood to talk about money. Okay, let's talk about cost. How much money did I spend on the Camino? We'll jump right in and we'll look at the details. We're going to break it down into 4 areas. First is flights and travel, food, other expenses, and the last, the lodging. So the flights and travel, depending on where you're coming from, I was coming from the United States, so I have to fly over or take a ship. I chose to fly, thought it would be a little quicker. And then, how you want to travel, how many stops you want to take, coach or first class, or that's going to be all over the board. So I really don't have a number for that. I know what I spent, but that has nothing to do with what anybody else would spend.
Well, Ali is asking for it. Dokes is trying to give it to him.
And you can easily find cost on any travel site. So I'll leave that up to you. The second thing is food and drink. Again, depending on how much you eat and how much you drink, it could be all over the board too. What I spent most days, because what I did most days was pretty much the same thing. I would get up and I would search high and low for coffee. You have coffee? Well, he has the best coffee on the Camino.
Have to order 2 coffees.
Coffee. 2 coffees here. Had 3 cups of coffee.
I do have coffee. Coffee.
Poppy got some coffee. Breakfast, if I could get breakfast. And I usually spent somewhere around $10, so 10 US dollars. I'm gonna just convert all this to US dollars. So $10 for breakfast. I usually try to eat some lunch, something, and I always drank something at lunch, usually a Coke Zero or 2. That and a Coke Zero.
Okay.
Just have a little Coke Zero. Just stop and get a Coke Zero just to drink. And about $10 the same for lunch. And then dinner, when I could go to a sit-down menu restaurant, a lot of them did have Pilgrim specials. So you could get a salad, an entree, dessert, and house wine. And it was usually somewhere around $20, $15, $20, depending on where you were. I will point out that the wine is relatively inexpensive over there. It was €9, so it's a really good bottle of wine. And it's very good. I became a huge Spanish wine fan while I was over there. Typically, dinner ran about $15 to $20 per night. Add those up, I'm about $40 a day for food. For 36 days, it's $1,400 that I spent on food for the duration of the Camino. So third area is just kind of other expenses. One was Nescafe instant coffee. That's not what this is. But from a gear standpoint, all my gear held up. Everything held up. The only thing I had to spend any extra money on from a gear standpoint was gloves. I lost my first pair of gloves, had to buy a second lightweight pair of gloves, and then I bought a heavier set of gloves for when it got a little colder. So that was about $40 or so. Then you have laundry expenses. I did laundry about 5 times. Typically, it's $10 to $15 a time because you gotta wash and dry. And then in Villafranca, I paid the hotel to do all of my laundry, and that was $15. So I spent about $100 throughout the 30-something days for laundry. And then taxis. I just had 2 taxi expenses. Just to clarify, I never took a taxi while I was walking the Camino. Not that there's anything wrong with that if you want to do it, but I did not do that. I walked the whole Camino with my backpack. So I had taxi when I landed in Biarritz to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and then I had a taxi from when I left Finisterre to get back to Santiago to catch my flight. So those 2 taxis were about $200. And then I had some other miscellaneous expenses, pharmacy. I bought Aleve a couple different times. I bought toothpaste, a couple things like that. So that was about, so all the expenses altogether were about $400, okay? And now let's talk about lodging. So, lodging. First off, we do have this whole list we're going to share with you. It shows each town that I stayed in, and in that town where I stayed, it's going to show you the cost in US dollars, and then a 1 to 5 recommendation. But anyway, I kept track of what I spent each night, and my average was $94 a night. But overall, counting everything, every place I stayed, it was $3,400 for the lodging. So if I add up, the food, the other miscellaneous expenses that we talked about, and then I have the lodging. If you add all that up, I spent $5,200 US. So looking at the total cost, if I did it over again, if I had a choice between, a $50 or a $75, I'm gonna take the $50 every time. Just take the lowest price. It's only one night. It can't be that bad. A big piece of the price is, where you're going to sleep. So now, let me just show you how I chose the places that I stayed and what actually worked. So when I walked the Camino de Santiago, obviously, you got to figure out where you're going to go. You got to figure out where you're going to stay. I met Helen the first day I was walking, and we came to a spot in the road and didn't know whether to go left or right. Didn't see a yellow arrow. And she pulled out her phone and she said, well, I've got the Camino Ninja app. It says we should go right. And I'm like, what? You have an app? I didn't know that. I didn't have one. So once you open the Camino Ninja app, you got to pick out your overall route that you're going to take. All the Caminos are in here. Once I open up Camino Francés, then it says, I'll start here today. So whatever I'm planning for, I'm going to say, okay, I'm in Leon. So I'll put that in there. Leon, it pops up, and now that's where I'm starting. So I'm going to say, I'll go here today. So I'm click that. The Camino Ninja app is going to show me exactly which towns come in order. So there's one 2.5 miles away, 4.5, 5.7, all the way to Santiago. A couple other things it shows you. It shows you the most popular towns that people stay from Leon, which in this case, it's San Martin del Camino, the second most popular and the third most popular. Then under each town, there are icons that shows you if that town has, a grocery, restaurants, cafes, hotel, ATM machine, all those things. So on this particular day, I wanted to walk about 20 miles. I see at 19.9 miles is Hospital de Orbigo. So I thought, well, I'm gonna stay there. It looks like it has all the amenities, everything, so it's a little bit bigger town. So I click that on, and now that's in my Camino Ninja app. So when I wake up in Leon and I'm getting ready to go walking, it's in here, I hit map, and then it's gonna show me the trail. So as soon as I start walking, I'm gonna show up on the trail, and it will follow me all the way to where I need to go. Cool, it's very easy. In case you missed the yellow arrows, you need an app. Okay, now that I know where I'm going, the Hospital de Orbigo, or Orbigo, I'm not sure. I know my Spanish sucks, but in case you haven't noticed, my English isn't that good either. So anyway, so now I know what town I want to go to, but I got to have a place to stay. I use booking.com. You open up the app, and at the very top, there's a magnifying, and I want to stay in the town of Hospital de Orbigo. I actually have it in here, so I click it, and it's going to show me the various options that I have to choose from. So booking.com does show you the albergues that are available. Here's an $18 a night, $95 a night, and you can just go through there and just choose the one you want. How did I choose it? Really didn't matter much to me. In this particular case, I actually stayed at the Hostel Canton Plaza. So if I click on that, sometimes I would look at the pictures. It wasn't a big deal to me. And then it says, see your options. So I click that. Because what I want to see here, I want to make sure I've got an attached bathroom, because that's really what I wanted. So on this one, a single room with a private bathroom. Free cancellation. Cancellation is important because, I mean, most of the time I'm making these, 4 or 5 days in advance. But if my walking changes, I want to be able to cancel. And I was able to do that several times. So on this one, I will select the single room with private bathroom, and I hit reserve. It's going to have all my information in here, and then hit next step. Then final step, it's going to take me to my credit card that I already have in there, and then I would be booked. That's how I did. 90% of my reservations were through booking.com. So that's kind of how the whole booking process works. Buen Camino. Oh, and I'm in bed right now because this is when I did this. I did this at night, usually, and I would just sit in bed and work through this nice and comfortably. And if it was at night, then I would just doze off. The third tool that I used pretty much every day, besides the Camino Ninja and Booking.com, is ChatGPT. I used it for various things. I did get lost once. I took a picture of a sign, and Chat told me how to get to where I needed to go, which was my hotel in a particular city. I also used it for the menus. So if you go into a restaurant and you got a menu on one of those nice restaurants where you can sit down and you can order. God, I love those. Take a picture of the menu, send it to Chat. Not only will he translate it, it also give you ideas on maybe what to order based on where you are and the culture and if there's a specialty, those types of things. And then the other thing, which I did use pretty much every day with Chat, is I wanted to know what I was getting into. Basically, I'd ask Chat, say, hey, I'm walking today on the Camino de Santiago from Leon to Hospital de Obego. Can you tell me what my walk is going to be like? And so Chat says, today is one of the classic Mesita transition days on the French Way. So that tells me pretty much it's going to be a flat walk, not any major climbs, and I should be good to go. Whoa. What did I like the most and what did I maybe not like? I did not like staying in the cities. Typically, they were maybe a little nicer hotels, they were bigger, they got the big reception area, and I walk in with a backpack on, I'm sweating, I'm sure I don't smell well. They're not quite as welcoming, anything like that. So I didn't really like staying in the cities. Plus, it took a while to get sometimes to the hotels. They might not be right on the path. So I really enjoyed the small rooms. I like the small rooms. I don't care how small, some of them 150 square feet. All I wanted was a bed, a plug, and a bathroom. So if I had those three things, I was pretty happy. One of the surprises for sure, if you look at something that is maybe 50, 60 US or something like that, I know it's more than an albergue and a dorm room and all that, but I was surprised at how nice most of them were. So I was very, very surprised a lot of times for what I paid for some of these rooms, how nice it was. What surprised me, I guess, is what happened, when I did get home. I came back very, grateful for the opportunity to do it, grateful for my family and friends and all those people who supported me. Frankly, grateful for all of you guys, the comments, the encouragement, the positivity was overwhelming at times. I came back with a huge appreciation for a different culture. It's not, our culture, it's not my culture, but it is a culture that, people in Spain, they live and operate in a different way than we do, and there's some great things about that for sure. The Camino did not change my life, but I didn't go into it thinking that it would. I didn't go into it thinking that there's going to be some big enlightenment or spiritual awakening. If that happened, I was okay with it, but it didn't happen something that was overwhelming. I just wanted to see if I could physically and mentally go away from my normal routine and my normal life and achieve something that frankly seemed pretty big to me at the time, and to do that before I turned age 70. I turned 70 in a few months, and to, put on the backpack every day, put on my favorite shoes, and plan out a trip and walk 15, 16, 20, 28 miles and do that day after day for 35 days, I feel great about it. And I feel like, I absolutely loved it. I loved, after the first few days or so, getting kind of used to it. It was a challenge every day to get up and figure out exactly what you're gonna see, where you're gonna go, and where you're gonna get coffee, where you're gonna eat, all the basic stuff. It was great. What surprised me, and it took about probably 2 weeks, I realized, you know what? I miss it. I miss waking up every morning with a very simple purpose. I'm gonna go here, where's the path? And start looking for yellow arrows, and you're on your way. You don't really have to think much in general. And then when it suddenly stops, it takes a little bit getting used to not having that when you wake up. It stays with you, that kind of yearning to maybe get back out there and do this simple step again. And then, then you start thinking, well, what's next, right? So you start thinking, gosh, would I go back and do this again, or would I go back and do another walk? And, I have to say 100% yes. I want to. I want to do another walk. I'm looking forward to figuring that out and deciding how to go about that. Hey, since I've returned, I've gotten some cool gifts. I got a nice Johnny Walker Keep Walking shirt. Who else can wear that around here? Just me. Thank you, Paul and Faith. How about this shirt? Yellow arrows, yellow arrows, yellow arrows. But the really cool part of this is Steve and Denise, they gave me the shirt. Steve and Denise visited Santiago many years ago. They went to the Pilgrim's Mass. They were so moved by it that when they left, Steve bought this shirt. They've moved 4 times since they bought the shirt. He never wore it. They thought, hey, well, if somebody might deserve to have this shirt, it would be me. How awesome is that? What a cool gift. Thank you guys so much. I also got a very special gift. I'm not going to tell you what it is. See if you can figure it out. All right, Snowball. Oh, there's Snowball. Hey, look who it is. You okay, Snowball? The card says, Buen Camino, early mornings, 100 cups of coffee, rivers and bridges, yellow arrows, yellow arrows, yellow arrows, cow friends, 500 plus miles, and Snowball. Welcome home, Poppy. Wasn't signed, didn't know who it was. But is this cool or what? That's Snowball. It's got Snowball on the name tag with the yellow arrow. It's got the Snowball tail. That is the coolest. Thank you, Missy and Tom. Thank you very much. It is one of my prized possessions now because I miss Snowball. He was awesome. Got another gift today, delivered, put on the front porch. It says, Poppy, saw these and had to get them for you to enjoy with your coffee. Kathleen, Scott, and Kingston. Thank you, guys. Let's see what we got here. Oh my gosh. Up. Pop-Tarts, strawberry, unfrosted. Thank you guys so much. You know it's one of my favorites. Perfect. So after a long, hard